Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be continuing my newest video series, How It Did. In this series I'll be sharing my own Wings of Fire fan stories about events we don't know much about, showing how I think they took place. We started off with how did Scarlet become queen, and now it's time for how did Hvitur and Asha join the Talons of Peace. Remember, none of this is canon, it's just my original story and how I believe these events transpired. But before I begin, a huge shout out to my patrons. DarkLive95, 3 Moons, Slightest Wild, Bombier, and Fizz. Thank you all so much for supporting me. Links to their social medias are in the description down below. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into the video. Hvitur's breath was seen in cold, angelic wisps in front of his face, the temperature far below freezing now. He looked up, squinting against the light of the moons. The village isn't much further now. I should be able to make it back before the sky gets any darker. Hvitur would spend entire afternoons ice fishing to support his town and family on the edge of the kingdom. With the war, it was even harder now, and ice wings from all over the Grand Kingdom flocked to the best fishing holes and prepared their lines early. It was the only way the ice dragons of the outskirts could make a living, apart from flying all the way to the mountains in hopes of returning fruit to freeze. Hvitur felt his claws brush against the thick layer of ice beneath him, and his scales welcomed the embrace of the cold. He struggled slightly, pulling a sleigh of fish behind him on the snow. It was not as much as he used to be able to catch before the war got worse, but it would hopefully be enough to last for the remaining days of the month. And if his parents were unhappy, that would just have to do. Being forgotten under the circle system was like banishment, though no one admitted it. While most Icewings stayed loyal and prideful, loving their tribe through all the stories they heard and work they did, Hvitur never felt connected beyond the stepping of his talons into the snow. The icy fingers of the cold air whipped at his scales was the most this place felt like home, and it saddened him. And yet, Hvitur never thought he could leave it. The Ice Kingdom was his home, his world. He had never left it, unlike his parents who had been born before the three Sandwing sisters fought. I love my home, as I should, but there has to be more than this, he'd often think. While the royalty and highest officials dine in the chill of the palace, the greatest sculptures and animus gifts within reach, we are left to pick at the pieces like vultures. Glacier doesn't visit here as much as she used to. Ever since the alliances switched and no one else but Blaze took our side, it's been busy, and yet empty at the very same time. Like we all could be doing more. The climax of the War of Standing Succession brought about fear and uncertainty. Dragons were getting more desperate, and the Icewings were getting more reclusive. Hvitur hated being brought into a war he never wanted to be a part of, and every dead body of a fallen soldier he saw on his way home stuck with him. The images were ingrained in his memory, and he could recall the features of every lost dragon his eyes met. Their expressionless faces and stiff forms, left with no one to bury them back home, hurt harder than anything ever could. Their blood would stain the snow and ice they fell on, leaving marks he, at least, would always remember. It wasn't long until the young Icewing saw a fallen troop up ahead, exactly like the others. It was a group of Sandwings with the mark of burn, and even though they had probably tried to kill his own, he couldn't help but mourn them. These dragons never wanted to hurt anybody, he said to himself quietly. You can't always choose which side you're on, or even if you'll be on one in the first place. Hvitur stopped for a moment as he couldn't help but look at them and tried to think of the dragons they were in their snippets of lives. The one in the center, she could have been a mother, a lover of dragons and a parent and a teacher, but with all these lies, all this war, she had never gotten to live the life of peace she didn't even get the time to imagine. Most of the Sandwings were young, and their blood and open wounds still fresh. They would be preserved longer in the Ice Kingdom, the cold clinging to them, and no bugs after their flesh, but no one would come back for them. If a troop was lost to the Icewings, well, no dragon dared to venture into the land of snow. If he tried, he would be lost too. That's even considering the fallen dragons still had anyone to bury them. Hvitur swallowed the bile in the back of his throat, and it stung all the way down. He could bear the sight no longer, and, closing his eyes, picked up the reins of the fish sleigh and continued back home. The walk felt longer, his mind deep in thought. The Icewing was so distracted that he failed to notice the dragon in front of him. Hvitur stepped back in surprise, barely missing contact with the Sea-Wing. He had to do a double take. A Sea-Wing? All the way in the Ice Kingdom? The ocean dragon's lime green scales made him stand out amongst the train of white. "Oh, I'm so sorry," Hvitur said, giving them both space. The Sewing looked up, having not even noticed his presence, being too busy looking at another fallen group of soldiers. "No, my apologies. I'm sure you didn't expect to see a dragon of the sea all the way out here in your kingdom." Suddenly hit Hvitur hard in the fact that this dragon was supposed to be an enemy. The Seeings were allied with Blister, at least as far as he was aware. If things had changed, the news hadn't spread to the outskirts yet. However, Hvitur had no fear. He had seen how the dragon looked at the dead soldiers, and it was with the same thoughtful and teary eyes as him. The Seeming showed no signs they were enemies, and for a moment it felt like the war never existed. Like two dragons of opposite sides and tribes could stand in each other's presence without fear of a fight. They were friends, even though they had just met. "I'm Nautilus, and I apologize for being in your way." The Sea-Wing Nautilus turned to face Hvitur directly. He had a sincere hope and fire in his eyes, something the Ice-Wing had never seen before. Everyone in his village was sad, scared, and unhappy, and the typical tribe pride could not do much on the edge of the kingdom. But Nautilus was different. He was full of life, and he didn't view the soldiers with hopelessness. "I'm Hvitur. I'm a villager on the nearest Ice-Wing town, where Frostbite hides." Nautilus peered over Hvitur's shoulder to look at his catch. "A fisher dragon, I assume?" The Ice-Wing nodded, moving for Nautilus to get a better view. Every lesson Hvitur had ever learned tried shouting at him at once. "Get away! Your enemy, a Sea-Wing, is standing right in front of you. What if he kills you? What if he tries to storm the village, and Queen Coral's army is hiding over the hills?" He didn't listen to those thoughts, for a reason he did not know. Maybe it was because of Nautilus's calm, cool nature. The way he looked at everything his eyes met with pure, overflowing hope, like the feeling of that itself had taken form in one dragon. "Are there others like him?" he thought, looking Nautilus in the eyes. "You want this war over as much as I do, don't you?" Hvitur had been so lost in thought that he didn't even see Nautilus looking back at the new group of fallen dragons. He nodded, throat dry. "When will it end? Week after week I see the remnants of another battle that's crept its way out here. It gets closer and closer to my home. My parents travel southeast to buy fruit to sell for treats back here, so I think they've missed most of it. But one day the bloodshed is going to reach the village. It may not even exist anymore." Nautilus looked down, his expression somber. "I had always felt as you did," he said. "I heard about the seeming troop who never came back, and the queens fighting amongst each other in the midst of the war. I thought everything to be hopeless. Till the prophecy." Hvitur furrowed his brow, looking at Nautilus. Prophecy? He could feel his heart pumping deep in his chest. Hvitur had heard about the powers of the Nightwings, and as scary as the enemy tribe was, could they really be here to help? Did they know if the war would end, and how it would? "I came here bearing great news, Hvitur. News of our coming liberation from this struggle." The Ice-Wing felt his breath catch in his lungs, a longing sense of hope clinging to him. Would there finally be something after all these years? "The Nightwings received a prophecy just recently," Nautilus continued, "but a group of Dragonets will save Pyria and choose the next Sandman Queen." The Seeming recited the prophecy of the Dragonets, which foretold the end of the great battle. Going to be saved? Hvitur could barely believe in himself as a sense of unimaginable relief soared across his moon-pale scales. Nautilus nodded, smiling greatly. "I've been traveling across Pyria sharing the great news. Freedom from the war at last! The Dragonets will come, and they will save the tear-soaked land. Peace is more important than any land, jewel, or rubies. We will fight for this cause. We would like you to join us." Hvitur looked at Nautilus in awe. He nodded his head with great excitement, smiling now, too. "I never want the Dragonets of the future to have to view the things I have on my route. I never want them to have to worry about alliances, or if they'll be the next to be drafted in a war, which is all they've ever known. I've hatched during this time. It does not mean others have to. I want to see babies crawl out of their eggs, surrounded by only loving gazes, not the panicked, cold eyes of dragons knowing their painful future. I want us all to be free. I will do anything for it, Nautilus." Nautilus hugged him, tears beginning to form. "You are exactly what we, the Talons of Peace, have been looking for, my friend. You will do great things with us." "All hail to the Talons," Hvitur said, shaking with a great, joyful fervor. "I will have to leave my home, but I will come back for them. My village and family will understand. When the war has ended, I will return, the Dragons of Destiny themselves, maybe even perhaps by my side. I will raise them and teach them, and tell them of the times of peace to come. No matter what happens, I will fight for this. I do not care how bitter the struggle may be, because tranquility rules higher than any swordsman or angry queen can. I will protect my home, and I will protect my continent. I will protect the Dragonets of Destiny, even if it costs me my life. Asha sat next to her sister's blood-red egg, thinking about the tiny dragon inside. She couldn't help but gaze at it in all its glory under the bright blue sky and smoldering sun. Dragonite in there is going to end a war. It hadn't been long since news spread of the Dragonets of Destiny and the Nightwing prophecy telling of greater times ahead. Asha had met with the Talons of Peace's leader, 𝙈𝙊𝙍𝙁𝙁, seeking him to hear the prophecy told from his lips. The Dragonets were coming, and her nephew was going to be the one to save the world. Asha looked back at the egg, caressing it softly with one talon. "Hello, little one," she began, her voice in a calm whisper. "I cannot wait to see you hatch with your new brothers and sisters. I'm going to be there when you wake. I'm going to bring you to your family of destiny." She couldn't help but smile, wondering if the little dragonet could hear her inside. She had no memories of being inside her egg, but this dragon was special. Maybe he could hear her right now, knowing how much he was loved before he even entered the world. The moment Asha heard the prophecy, she was filled with an inner peace and hope that could not be described through anything. It entered her heart and spread all over, from the tips of her wings to the soles of her feet. The Dragonets of the village listened in awe and joy at her tale, Asha being able to recite the prophecy by heart the moment she heard it. She taught the young troops about the Dragonets of Destiny, and watched as their eyes grew wide and their small mouths dropped. She filled them with her great spirit, and went to sleep each night happier than she had the last. As each passing day came close to the Dragonets hatching, and her little nephew. How could someone so small grow to lead a future? Asha was cut off from her thoughts by the sound of wing beats from above. They cast a shadow above her, and when she glanced up, she beamed with excitement. The Talons of Peace are here! 𝙈𝙁𝙍𝙁, the seeing who had told her about the prophecy, and 𝙈𝙁𝙍𝙁, the dragon who received it, came down from the sky. They paid little attention to her, instead bartering with Cattail, her older sister. She was accepting their offer of cows for the egg. That meant tomorrow would be when she delivered it. 𝙈𝙁𝙍𝙁 and 𝙈𝙁𝙍𝙁 had to go elsewhere, and it was up to her to bring the little one to his new home. It was up to her to be the one who raised him. The moment she was assigned the duty, her chest swelled with deep pride. I will do anything for this future, she thought to herself. Asha took her eyes off her sister for a moment and stared down at the shiny red egg by her arm. Reaching over, she held it in her claws with grace and gentleness. If you can hear me in there, special one, I love you. I cannot wait to see you grow and hear of the things you do for us all. You are going to make me and the tribe so, so proud. I know you will have a good heart, and I hope you are the greatest bigwings your brothers and sisters will ever know. And you are everything to everyone, and I do not want you to fear. You have destiny on your side and fate at the helm. You will succeed in all you do, and I will be by your side in your darkest moments. There will always be hope and dragons who love you. Asha rolled over in the mud, looking up at the endless sky above her. She tilted her head to view the rolling hills of mud and dirt, her home stretched out across the land. He's going to save all this. Tomorrow would be the day she delivers him, and Asha thought that no matter what happened, in the years to come, destiny and love would prevail. Honestly, you guys, this was so much fun to write, and I really hope we get the perspectives of other characters during the war someday in a Winglet or Legends book. I wanted to show just how real the prophecy was to the dragons stuck in such a time of despair. I absolutely adored every moment we got to see of the hope and resilience of the Pyrean dragons, whether it be Scarlet's prisoners singing about the Dragonets of Destiny, or the seeming guards helping Tsunami, knowing what peace she would bring. Even though the prophecy was fake, its effects were real. I really want to know more about Hvitur and Asha, and I hope this is enough for now for anyone else interested in them. Thank you all so much for watching until the end, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!